What's going on, people? It's Mr. back again with the review after a fantastic win against Cardiff 1-0. I thought I brought a new guest in me. As we know, everyone knows Stephen. How you doing, Stephen?
I just point my badge. Hang on. You can all excited here, Ben. Yes, get in. Come on.
As everyone knows, Stephen is from Wales, so he's loving it. And we've got a special guest. We've got Gareth. How you doing, Gareth?
I'm all right, buddy. How are you? Thanks for asking me on.
No worries, no worries. Like I said, we always have different opinions, but today it's a special one. Nottingham Forest won against a good Cardiff side. So we'll start with you, Gareth. Today's win, how are you feeling?
Obviously, it's a lot better when you win, isn't it? That winning feeling, I was a bit worried before the game, to be fair, because we don't often do well at Cardiff, and they've got a horrible style for what we're considered to play against. They slump the ball in the box and put the big centre half in and take the long throws, and we don't often deal with that very well, really. So I thought we defended brilliant. I thought we were the better team in the first half. And obviously, I thought Mick McCarthy would get into them a bit at half time and they'd come out and have a bit more of a go in the second half, which they did. But after the first 10 or 15 minute storm in the first second half, I thought we held them out pretty well, really. And when you look at the whole game, Reece Sambrand really made a great save in the whole game.
He didn't.
So I thought they've got to be really pleased with that. I know I must give a special mention to the fullback.
Christie or Blackett?
Blackett, because our fullbacks have been getting a lot of grief on social media.
100%.
And I think Christie's played a lot better in the last 4 or 5 games as well. Obviously, he set the goal up today, looked up, picked him out, rather than just whack the ball across the box, which he often does. And then, but I thought he obviously picked Blackett for his aerial power, knowing that Cardiff were going to load the box. He's played centre half before. So when they did have free kicks or corners, it was almost like having another centre half. So I thought it was a good tactic, really, and thought it worked really well.
Stephen, like I said, Gareth mentioned the defence. I thought that was fantastic today, and the player that stuck out for me was McKenna. But what players stuck out for you from the whole defence?
I think the whole back four, including Sam. Well, like Gareth said, Sam didn't do nothing really, did he?
No.
A few high balls, you had to pluck her through from the air. But I think what today showed, I think, if we can get a striker in next year, because the whole Grabban thing again is up in the air. Today showed.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about Grabban later.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say though, today showed if we can keep Worrell, the spine of our team next season, if we can keep Garner as well, we've got something there we can build on. Because from the keeper to the centre halves to Garner, through that link to the striker, we look good. Garner today. Well, I know we. Perhaps Ben, you want to touch on certain players, but yeah, I think Christie had his. The thing with Christie, right? It seems to be every week we're always saying that's his best game. This is his best game. So I think he's just improving every week, and I think today was probably his best game. And I've said that in previous games, so I think he just keeps on outdoing himself every week. Blackett, I agree with Gareth again. The aerial threat, he dealt with their winger. Who was up against him? I forgot who was up against him.
Who was it again? Who was it?
We underestimate how long it takes to settle in, I think, at our club. We do it all the time. And for me, like, you need to give him a bit of time to settle. And since, like I say, the last 5 or 6 games, I think Christie's been good. But I read things on social media and I think, well, you didn't like him a few weeks ago, but judge on the game that you've watched, because he's had a good game today. So don't say that he's had a poor game because you didn't like him in the last game. Say it how it is. Whether, like I thought Blackett had a couple of poor games earlier in the season, but today he had a good game and you bought him for a reason and he's done a job.
I wonder. Sorry, Ben. I wonder with Christie though. I wonder if he is actually playing for a contract next season.
The thing about Christie, right? as everyone said, he's been given him and Blackett have been given criticism. In defense of Blackett, he's not played, and like today was his best game. Same as Christie, and people in the comments as well. I want people in the comments as well. Would you give Christie a contract? Let me start with you, Gareth. Would you give Christie a contract next season?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think.
Would you?
I would. Now he's settled, he looks a decent player, and I think.
But that's only one game, remember? Just remember, it's just one game.
No, personally, I think he's improved over the last 5 or 6 games, and I think they're all starting. Even when it goes wrong, you can actually see what Hughton's trying to do now. It's not going to be pretty, but they're going to try and be solid at the back. And I think the goalkeeper's played a lot better in the last 4 or 5 games as well. Where I thought when Lamucci first went, Samba were really struggling. Obviously, with Lamucci's man, he brought him in, and he were really struggling. But I think whoever the goalkeeper coach is down there is doing a great job with him because
it's Coyle. Steve, I think it's Coyle.
He's coming for a lot more balls in the air. He's coming for a lot more crosses. And he seemed to be more vocal with the 2 centre halves. And I thought McKenna and Worrell were outstanding today. Obviously,
I think with Worrell and McKenna today, I think they really capitalised on Moore. About the fact that Moore was away playing for Wales, and the commentary said when he came off, Moore looked knackered.
Funny enough, I said that to my mate after 20 minutes when we were watching it. I said, "This Kiefer Moore looks knackered to me. He don't look like he's putting himself about like he usually does."
Yeah. I think McKenna just bullied him, and it's not often we've said for the last, this season especially. When's the last time our centre halves was bullied? They are centre forward.
This question, like I said, it's difficult. It's difficult for Christie. I'm still not a biggest fan. Fair play, we've been outstanding for the last 6 games, but still, Gabriel is next season. Like Christie has been great, but we've got players like who's on loan. We've got Richardson who's on loan at Forest Green. We've got KBO who's on loan at Blackpool. So you need to remember we've got players like that can come into Forest next season. But
what you ask yourself, Ben, is next season is what does Hughton do? Does he want to go for experience and go, right, Christie's my man to take us to that next level? Or does he go with youth and go with it? Because, you've got to think, Ben, if we get rid of Christie, who's out there? What are the right backs out there?
You know, Forest, if they can't get someone English, they'll find someone foreign. They'll find someone from Olympiacos. But in the past, I give an example. Martin started today. So we can't criticise Hughton for not testing youngsters, because I think in the past when Martin scored against Millwall, the same with So. He's not played today. He's not played for a long time. But if we are going to give Christie a contract, it's a difficult one. Like I said, he played fantastic today, but in the long term, is he worth it? That's the thing. We need to look at, because Forest fans are fickle. Everyone knows, especially on social media, Forest fans are fickle. The one game they play good, and the next 2 games, if they don't play great, Forest fans will go for him. So personally, I think it's a difficult one. It's difficult for me. People in the comments, what do you think? Do you think Christie should get a contract or not?
I think if Christie does sign for next season, or the wages he could be on, which is rumoured to be quite big, it's putting pressure on himself to perform. Because if he doesn't put the performances in next season, if he has got a full-time contract, then the fans will come down hard on him.
I don't think they'll keep him on the same money he's on now. He'll have to take a wage cut to definitely come to Forest. He won't get the money he's
obviously on Premiership money, isn't he, with Fulham? So
we've got to remember as well. We probably we did. We had the best right back in the league last year in Matty Cash, who's performing brilliant for Villa.
And his comment, Cashy was not a right back. We were looking to have him a half a season with him. Christie wasn't right. Cash wasn't a right back. But at the same time, we've got youngsters on loan that hopefully next season can push on for Nottingham Forest. Because I think next season is big for Hughton, because we've got youngsters like Joe Wall. I personally think Joe Wall will leave next season due to the FFP. Right. So next question for you lads, Garner. Fantastic again today. This is for you, Stephen. Do you think Garner will stay at Nottingham Forest, or do you think he'll go to a better club next season?
It's one of the things, Ben, is he's performing so well. It goes for us as we stand now. But for other eyes watching him, it's not good, because there'll be scouts now watching him from lower league Premiership sides or even higher Championship teams and going, look at this kid now, look what he's doing for a struggling team.
Yeah.
And that's going to might work against us. But what I would say is what I have heard, if anyone read the article, that Hughton has got good contacts with United. So maybe he can say some sorcery and say, look, I can bring this kid on in a year. I'll get him under my wing, give me a season with him, I'll develop him. Again, the other thing you've got to say is if he goes to a lower Premiership team, will he just sit on the bench every week?
100%.
With our team, he'll be a starter. That's why I said about the spine of the team. If we do lose Worrell, we have to keep Garner.
Gav, what's your opinion on Garner?
I think there's three things to this. One will be, it'll all be down to Manchester United anyway. It won't be down to Forest. I think Hughton will definitely want to keep him, and we'll try to get him on loan for another season. The two big questions for me are A, whether they think Forest is best for his development, or B, whether they feel a lower Premier League club would take him and play him every week and he'll gain Premier League experience. That'll be the three things really. But from what I can gather, and I don't know, so don't quote me on it, but from what I can gather, Chris Hughton's got quite a real good rapport with Premier League managers and coaches, and he's rated very highly. So I'm hoping that we could possibly bring in a couple of loan players from Premier League clubs next year, because for me, when I look at the teams at the top, they all seem to get these players on loan that shine, and they're always the difference in the tight games. And whenever you watch Norwich or Watford, it always seems to be these players that shine. Watford kept that star in January when Crystal Palace offered £30 million for him.
Yeah.
Well, Forest ain't got a £30 million footballer. They are the difference in the tight games, that extra bit of quality. And for me, Garner playing every week, you can see he's got that extra bit of quality that we've lacked in midfield all season until he come in, really.
Let me see. There's a question coming from Pete. How you doing, Pete? There's no reason we can't loan Garner until January. He didn't fit in Watford's team. I think it was lack of pressure from us in mid-table. He's couldn't allow his development. What do you think of that, Stephen?
Yeah, I think obviously he did walk into a team where we were struggling, so he is going to stand out perhaps more. So maybe that's why he didn't stand up with Watford, because they were playing with, like you guys said, with £30 million players. But one thing we're forgetting as well with Garner is no one's thinking of maybe what he wants to do as well. So if he's enjoying his time at Forest, his agent might say, "Are you happy at Forest?" And you go, "Look, I enjoy working at Hughton. He's given me the freedom. I get on with the lads. I'm a part of the team." Because next year, Hughton could say, "I'm going to base this team around you." He's 20. He may base that team next year around a 20-year-old. And that's good. I know it's a big expectation on his shoulders, but he's been showing lately that he can do it. So, but that's where we need experienced players around him then next season. We don't have Ben Watson anymore.
There was another player that stuck up for me, and I'm a massive fan. Ryan Yates, the one I played alongside Garner. Him and as well Cafu. Let's mention them three players. I thought Ryan Yates played fantastic today as well. I've been critical with Karinovic, but would you stick them two and next game against QPR, Gareth?
It depends really, because I'm a big fan, and I know a lot of fans aren't. But I think you pick a team to play who you're playing. Now, I get this point of we should let teams worry about us, but in our position, we can't do that. So I get today's game why he's picked Ryan Yates and not Knockout or Kravinovic, because Cardiff go back to front. They don't play through midfield.
Yeah.
So them players are not going to get on the ball. So that's the type of game. And when you play Millwall, for instance, that are the same, or Birmingham, where they're kicking it up to Djukovic, they're the kind of games for me that Ryan Yates shines in.
Yeah.
Because he'll drop back onto that back four and pick them loose balls up. When you're playing a football inside, a Swansea, for instance, I thought that were our best performance of the season when we played Swansea away. And we lost right at the end. But Swansea are a footballing team, so they let you play football. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So your footballers then can get on the ball and play as well. But that were never going to happen today. If we'd have played Knockout today, if we'd have played Kravinovic, they'd have both struggled because the ball wouldn't have dropped down into that midfield. It'd have gone straight over them. And they were just kicking the ball up to Kiefer Moore. So that's how they play. So I could see exactly why he picked who he picked today before a ball was kicked. It obviously works when you win, and everyone will say, great, great. But if we'd have lost, we'd have probably all been sitting here saying, why didn't he play them players?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think Cafu's playing quite well. I don't like these flicks, but I think that comes with foreign players anyway, because they're so used to doing it. He's got to get that out of his game to be a real success in England. But I think he's playing quite well, and he's confident. You can see when he gets on the ball, he's got that confidence, and he's not quick to have the ball.
I mentioned Myton today, and players like Myton, Abiobi. I thought they was great today. We'll talk about Grabban later, but Stephen, what Myton coming in, replacing players like Knockout, was you impressed with Myton today?
I was surprised, because we've been talking about Blackett and the height and stuff. I thought maybe Myton was a big call against Cardiff. They're such a big side, Flint is like 6'5", and they got big players, Cardiff have. And I thought, okay, but I think he went for a blend of kind of little and large, like on either wing, to mix it up, because they've got big players, but they're not quick on their feet. You can turn them. That's what Myton was trying to do. I thought both of them played well. I thought two of them played rather well. I think they offered something.
The thing, when I was going to watch on earlier with my brother was saying, he's a Liverpool fan, and he was saying, Myton, he's good with speed, but the final ball wasn't great. So I think that's the only what's lacking.
That will come in time, Ben. Yeah,
it'll come at time, but same time, like even with Abiobi's out of contract at the end of the season, and even Knockout didn't get on today. So with both Myton and Abiobi playing great, do you think Knockout will come back again on Monday?
Do you know what I think it is as well, Ben? I think what we might see now in the next couple of weeks, maybe why we've picked our performances up, is maybe there's players now playing for contracts. Because now it's come out in the open now, there's players, like 12 players going. The players who are performing, who are out of contract, us as fans are watching it going, oh, you want to stay at our club. So maybe like Savami Obi and them players, we watch them performing, they want to stay next year, because the players who just want to go, I think will be left on the bench, they're not performing, or I'm not going to be here next year, so I don't care what happens to this team. So
yeah, I think you find that anyway. And such as Amiobi, for instance, he frustrates hell out of me.
Does it?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, go on.
Because he's got so much ability, and sometimes he looks like a world beater, and then other times he'll lose the ball in a bad area, or he'll cost you a goal for not tracking back, a bit like Knockout. They've got so much ability, these players. I'd just like to see them perform a bit more consistently. I think with
what I would say,
sorry. I think with Mighton, he's another Brennan Johnson, isn't he? He's got all the ability in the world, and you can see that. And they just lack that little bit of strength for the championship, like you're saying. Up against Aidan Flint, he just brushes him aside sometimes. And but you know, I think he picked him today for his pace. He knew Cardiff were going to put the ball in our box, and he was hoping that we could break on him. And that's probably why he picked Mighton, I would say, today, because they're back forward. And if he got to run it at Flint, he'd leave him for dead. So I think that's why he picked him. I think he needs to run a game. I think sometimes what you find is with all footballers, you just need to run a games, don't they? When Knockout came, he were playing a game, he were leaving him out for a game. He were playing a game, he were leaving him out for a game. He never really got up to speed. And then the minute that he played him for 5 or 6 games running, he looked a totally different player. He looked sharp, and I think that's the same with Mighton, really. I'd like to see him have a run in the side, really. 3 or 4 games where, you know, let's see what you're about. You've got 3 or 4 games now to go and show us exactly what you can do.
We'll talk about Lewis Grabban. Like everyone on here, since I've done this channel, about everyone's been opinionated about Lewis Grabban, and I think I've always mentioned to you about Stephen about him. Gareth, let me talk about Grabban. What's your opinion on Grabban, like being captain of Nottingham Forest?
First of all, oh, go on.
No, right, quick, quiet.
First of all, I don't like a centre forward as captain. I like a centre half or a central midfielder as captain. Somebody that's very vocal, like Watson last year. Didn't matter. When I was studying my end in the Bridgeford end, I could still hear Watson shouting on the halfway line. I like to hear a vocal captain, you know, like you can hear Worrell shouting all the time at players. And so I don't like to see a centre forward as captain, but I can see why he left him as captain when he came in, Hughton, because obviously if he takes the captaincy off him straight away, that sets this thing in your changing room of, well, I ain't done no wrong. Why you took it off me? What have I done? You know what I mean? So he couldn't do that. He'll pick his own captain at the end of the season for next year.
Who's your captain for next year then? If Worrell stays?
If Worrell's here, he'd be my captain 100%, but I think he'll leave. I think he'll have to go to balance the books. So in that case, I think Scott McKenna would probably be my captain, depending on what players come in. I would have one of them anyway. As my captain.
Stephen, you're in trouble there, Stephen.
Pardon me, Ben. I'm just getting water for my boy.
Okay. Well, 1 minute. Okay, let me see. We'll get him back in a minute, Stephen.
No problem. I'm a big Lewis Grabban fan, though, as you know, and he divides opinion. I always think he's not a centre forward that's going to run round and run round. So you see him running round, running his legs off all the time. He's just not that type of player. He last year, but because he was scoring regular, you get away with it. When you're not scoring regular, the instinct of a fan is he ain't trying hard enough. He ain't putting enough effort in. But he's never been that kind of player. He needs a couple of goals, like every forward. You look at the kid in Iacho at Leicester, he couldn't buy a goal. He's just got player of the month. He scored 6 or 7 goals in 4 games.
Yes.
And, you know, where I live, the Leicester fans around here had chucked him out a month ago. They hated him. But for me, Lewis Grabban, once he scores, will start scoring again because he's always scored at this level for whoever he's played for.
Are you? I'm not asking you, guys. Are you a Chris Hughton fan? Yes or no?
I think I can see what he's trying to do now. I think when he came in, there were a lot of players, obviously, like Lamucci. It looked to me a lot of the players weren't buying into what Hughton wanted to do to start with. But I think over a period of time, he's won a few of them players over, and you can see we're now improving. And I do think he'll get it right, provided he gets the time. I don't think it'll be pretty, but it weren't pretty at Brighton and it weren't pretty at Newcastle, but he got the job.
He done the job. That's a problem. And as well, like on this channel, it's been divided with people not being a fan of Chris Hughton. I'm a fan of Chris Hughton when he first come. Stephen, are you a fan, Stephen, when he first come?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's a lot of my mates. Like, obviously, I was listening. I was reading the rumors and people on Twitter and stuff, and I was like texting the boys. I know saying, "Oh, Hughton's on his way," and they're like, "There's no way you'd get Chris Hughton. He won't go to Forest." But next thing, he's standing with a shirt outside the training ground. And I was like, haha, told you. And they're like, whoa. And you know what? The amount of people then was text me going, I can't believe you got Hughton. Like, we've seen you've been in the Premiership in 2 years, this and that. I think, like Alice just said, it won't be pretty. But you know what, right? If we go up next season by winning ugly and winning 1-0, I don't care. If we're in the Premiership, I don't care. It winds me up when these other fans of other clubs in the Premiership, right? They come like 8th in the Premiership, and they're on these podcasts or these radio stations going, "Oh, my club plays boring football." You're sitting 8th in the Premiership. Try being a Forest fan. We haven't been in the Premiership for 20 years. Yeah, it winds me up. You're so lucky. Like,
I think with that, Stephen, like it's like you just mentioned, it's been like 23 years. Now,
22 then, 22.
22 years. And like I said, everyone, I'm referring to everyone's very first. These young fans are more.
They've never experienced Premiership football. Yeah,
they've never seen that. Like I understand, I get it why they're frustrated, and like today's a fantastic win. I've not seen no negative comments on Twitter so far today, but it's Chris Hughton. He is going to be under pressure next season. Gareth, as I just said, Chris Hughton, he needs time to build his team. In your opinion, and as well, people in the comments, if you want to interact as well, what player, where do you think Hughton that needs his strength next season to get us to the playoffs or top 2?
I'd like to see some pace in the team, me. I always think whenever a team that sets up the way that Hughton will set up with this defensively solid, look to it teams on the break quickly, you're going to need some pace in your team to do that. I think they could have a little gem in Brennan Johnson. I'm a big fan. I watch the under-23s quite regular when I were dropping people off in Nottingham. And I think the old-fashioned midfielder that scores a lot of goals has gone out of football a lot now. But he does score goals, and he'll go beyond your centre-forward to break into the box. I think we're desperate for a midfield player that chips in with 10 goals, perhaps. Obviously, if Worrell goes, he's going to need a centre half unless he's got faith in. So it's hard to see that he's got faith in him because he's not picked him when anybody's been injured or anything.
Exactly. That's the problem. He's not played. He's not played at all. So
you can't sort of sit here thinking he's got a lot of faith in him but we don't know what they're watching in training, and I'm a big advocate of that as well. If there's been a lot of talk. I thought Lyle Taylor were our best signing in the summer because I thought last year when we played Charlton, he gave the best individual performance of any player at the City Ground.
Yeah, he did.
He absolutely ran us ragged. We couldn't deal with him, and we didn't know how to deal with him. And I thought if we get this kid, and we've got Grabban as well, we're laughing up front next year. And it ain't turned out like that. And I keep sort of thinking to myself, well, what's Taylor doing wrong in training? He can't be convincing or is he not putting it in, or does he just not fancy him? Because all managers fancy players or don't fancy them. You know what I mean? As fans, we see a game and we think they should be playing instantly. Oh yeah, he's brilliant. Let's play him. But that manager's working with him 7 days a week. So what's he doing in training and things? You know what I mean? He's obviously not convincing him enough for him to be picking him. Yeah.
Well, you got players like Ryan Yates and Figueiredo, right? Is that, you know, they just pick them two, for example. As fans always go, why are them two always in the team? Like, you think now you got Lamucci. Who was before Lamucci now? You had Martin O'Neill.
Martin O'Neill.
Yeah. And then before him, you had Cranker, right?
Yeah. Throughout
these managers, Ryan Yates has been a part of the team. And us fans are going, like, Ben, you're a big fan of Yates, right? But okay, but then other fans can't stand him, right? I get that. But then, like Gareth just said, these managers see him day in, day out in the training, but also it's a lot to do with attitude as well. Like, you could be the best player in the world. You could be the Ronaldo, Messi. If your attitude isn't right on that training pitch, you won't get picked.
And that's what I'm saying. What are they showing him in the week to convince him that they should be playing?
It's like with Harry Arter when he came.
Yeah.
Every Forest fan, and if you say not, if people in the comments saying you didn't agree, everyone was buzzing about Harry Arter. And look at Harry Arter. He can't even get in. He can't even get in the 18.
And then, if you go by player, you would probably put Harry Arter over Yates on the day.
100%.
See,
100%.
But on the throughout the week, and it goes with Figueiredo as well. His attitude on the training and with the lads throughout the week could be amazing. And then there's other players who don't, you know, they could be technically better than Figueiredo. But some managers may pick the player's ability over the attitude. You get, you know, it swings around about. It's just, you know, the thing where I always tell my other friends who are not Forest fans about Ryan Yates is that, you know, he will run through brick walls for you. And the manager sees that. So that's what feeds out on the pitch. And maybe Ryan Yates knows in his head he's not technically the best player on the pitch, but he just runs his socks off.
Tell you that.
And I love to see that. I'd rather see a player.
He says that. Yeah. He said that on the. I don't know if you've not seen it. I think there's a Red Dogs Matt podcast. If people see it, he does say to him, he's not the most creative person. He's a person he's not afraid to tackle, and that's him. So and that's why I think with Forest fans frustrated with him. Like I said, I'm a fan. People might disagree, might not, but he's a good player for me. And the performance he done today, alongside Garner, sometimes Cafu will sit there as well. But for me, I think it was a decent, one of the best performances so far this season. Last one, 2 more questions, lads. I'll start with you, Gareth. Like, I'm not going to say who's the worst player because I don't think one player was bad today. Or was there any? Wait, let me ask you. Was there any people in the comments as well? Who was your man of the match today? And as well, I'll start with you, Gareth. Who was your man of the match today, and why?
A toss-up between Garner, Worrell, McKenna. I thought a centre-half usually needs the other centre-half to play well as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If one of your centre-halves is struggling, the other one tends to have to cover him a lot. I thought both of the 2 centre-halves dealt with Kiefer more brilliantly. When one went for an header with him, the other made sure he was there to win the next ball, even if he won the header, which we didn't do at our ground. He destroyed us with his aerial power.
Was it the first 20 minutes?
Well, he scored after 2 minutes from the corner where we left him. But I was worried about Figueiredo marking him today because of what happened at the City ground. He knew he had the beating of him. So when I seen that Worrell were partnering McKenna today, I was really chuffed. I thought they were both outstanding. I thought Garner had a really good game. And in the end, Marlon Pack were kicking him all the time, which tells its own story, really. You know, he was getting frustrated. He weren't getting no change out to him at all. And although a lot of fans will probably disagree with me. I thought Grabban held the ball up super in the first half, not the second half so much, but the first half, I thought he held it up and brought other players into play. And when you're playing as a single striker, your job's not just to score. You must bring the rest of your teammates and hold the ball up well. And I thought playing against them two big centre halves, I thought he'd done really well in the first half. But I would probably pick one of the two centre halves. I thought they were outstanding.
Stephen, who's your man of the match?
I've got a top three tied: McKenna, Garner, Christie.
Okay.
I can't pick between the three. I think I might just edge towards McKenna, only because I know Garner.
McKenna was mine.
I know Garner. Yeah, I know Garner scored the goal and he was everywhere. But McKenna, the way he dealt with Moore.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with either of you.
That was the key of the game, I think, because Moore could have easily outbullied us in that game. But McKenna, I think McKenna for me just edges over the other two. But Christie again, his best game. Yeah, McKenna for me.
Okay.
I wouldn't disagree with either of you on that. To be fair, I thought he had a great game. So.
Okay. Gareth and Stephen, it's been a pleasure, and especially Gareth. Thank you very much.
No problem. I've enjoyed coming on, and obviously we all know Forest fans like round where we live or who we stand with at the games and that when we go. So it's been nice to talk to. Obviously, I've seen you around and seen these shows before, so it's been nice to speak to you, and obviously nice to speak to you as well, Stephen.
And you.
Thank you very much. But Black people, before I do go, I put a thing about, I don't know if Gareth and Stephen, you know Andy Johnson, weren't you, from the 97-98 season?
Complete legend, yeah. In his own right. Yeah,
in his own right.
No, he was Welsh, weren't he, Stephen? He played for Wales, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was from Bristol. But he said his nan walked a dog over the bridge once, or something like that. You need to watch Under the Kosh podcast. It's one of the funniest things you'll ever watch in your life.
Right, you know what, Stephen?
They finished it.
Right, Stephen.
It's the season of it. They finished
it.
People,
tomorrow, 10 o'clock a.m., I am bringing it out. You've got to watch it. For the young under 18s, please, I had to put a disclaimer on it. Because
Ben, you need to show it after 9 o'clock at night after the watershed. That's what you need to do.
Because
talking of under 18s, can I just mention my son to you?
Yes.
Until this season, he'd missed 5 games since he was 3 years old, and he's 18. He's just turned 18 in January.
Okay.
And he'd missed 5 games until this season. In all them years, home and away.
We'll be back.
Home and away. Wow.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Don't worry about it. We'll be back in August. But like I said, people, 10 o'clock. Oh, there you are. I lost everyone then. But people, 8 o'clock. Don't be late. No, not 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning. Don't be late. It is a fantastic interview. Andy Johnson, he's an absolutely nutcase. He is a nutcase. It is the below description, people. So please put it in your diaries. Get ready because it's an outstanding interview. But yeah, Gareth and Stephen, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks,
Ben,
mate.
can I just say one thing? Ben, can I just give you a heads up?
Yeah.
I'm on my way up to Nottingham in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So if you're around, maybe
are you allowed over here?
I don't care. No, it's my stepdaughter's. She goes to uni in Nottingham.
Okay. My daughter.
Nothing to do with me. It's not my influence, mind. No, I gotta go back up and get her stuff from the uni. So I'd be making a trip up to Nottingham soon. So
I'd
be up in your neck of the woods soon.
Yeah, just message me, DM me, and we'll link up. We'll meet up.
Yeah. Cool.
Right. All right, people. Thank you for watching. Like I said, Andy Johnson interview, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's going to be absolutely a mad one. I've never laughed. The only thing I'm going to give you, I've never laughed so much I've never laughed so much. But people, it's been a pleasure. Gareth, Stephen, thank you very much for coming on. And, and I'll see you soon, everyone.
Good, Gar.
Up the Nottingham Forest.
Come on!